Hi, I'm Krouse of the Indiana Gazette, and this is the third week of our high school football preview show. We're coming to you this week from Northern Cambria, where the Colts are getting ready to take on Homer Center on Friday night. Northern Cambria had to quickly move on from an ugly game against Ligonier Valley. The Colts, who lost for the first time this season in a 44-0 shutout against the Rams last week, will need to refocus to take on the Wildcats, the unbeaten fifth-ranked team in the state in Class 1A. Homer Center is coming off a big 53-14 win over Salzburg, the 400th victory in program history. The Wildcats hope to keep their offensive momentum going against the Colts in a Heritage Conference matchup that features two tough teams that like to run the football. Homer Center's Mike McCracken leads the area with 334 rushing yards, and teammate Jesse Lee is third with 275. The Wildcats lead the area in total offense, averaging 408.7 yards per game. Northern Cambria, which is 2-1, will look to get just about anything going after gaining only 30 total yards last week in a game that featured 31 penalties for 279 yards. Ligonier Valley travels to Penns Manor to play the first ever game on the Comet's new turf field that was installed in the offseason. 3-0 Ligonier Valley is the number 5 ranked team in the state in Class 2A and looks to keep rolling against Penns Manor, which lost to United last week. The Rams have outscored their opponents 162-6 and are giving up just 68.7 total yards per game. The Comets are averaging just 231.7 yards on offense. Ligonier Valley's Aaron Totino leads the area with 296 receiving yards and in scoring with 7 touchdowns. The artificial surface at Penns Manor won't faze the Rams, though, who became accustomed to playing on it during a run to the state semifinals last season. West Shamokin plays host to United and will look to build on last week's performance after losing to Purchase Line. The Wolves are 1-2 and have a solid running game and defense, but have struggled to put points on the board. United is 2-1 after its 28-22 victory over Penns Manor. Quarterback Kyle Silk is second in the area with 310 rushing yards, and the Lions are second in the area with 231.7 rushing yards per game. Both were playoff teams last season and are looking to make a move in the conference and the district standings. Salzburg welcomes Blairsville in a matchup of two teams trying to find their footing. The Bobcats will face a winless team for the second straight game and hope to feed off their first win of the season, a 28-14 victory over Marion Center last week. Noah Sleesman is fourth in the area with 265 rushing yards. Even though they were stomped by Homer Center, the Trojans racked up 319 yards last week, and quarterback Josh Gibbons and the Salzburg offense hope to keep it up against the Bobcats defense. Purchase Line looks to start 3-1 when it travels to Marion Center this week. The Red Dragons, who have tried to spread out the ball on offense, could match last year's win total with a victory. Quarterback Shamar Campbell has rushed for 219 yards and passed for 300 and is second in the area with a 180.7 passer rating. Marion Center got off to a good start in last week's loss, but will need to cut out mistakes against a solid Purchase Line team. In the WPIAL, Indiana looks to turn its season around in a hurry with a trip to winless Northwest 9 conference foe Blackhawk in its first road game. Despite a pair of lopsided defeats to begin the year, the Indians have shown promise on offense, particularly surprising senior tight end Mohamed Sissoko, who followed up an impressive season debut with a highlight reel 28-yard touchdown grab from quarterback Luke Thomas last week against Montour. But while Indiana aims to spread the ball around to its playmakers, eyes will be on a defense that has allowed an average of 482 yards through the first 2 weeks. Senior quarterback Kyle Fitzroy leads 3-0 Apollo Ridge into a road matchup with 1-1 Allegheny Conference rival Shadyside Academy, which is coming off a dominant 42-8 victory over Burrell. Blossoming into a dual threat, Fitzroy ranks among the best in the area with 501 passing yards and 238 yards on the ground, including a game-high 132 rushing yards in last week's win over Beaver Falls. On defense, the Vikings will have to contend with the Indians' own dynamic quarterback, junior Sky Moore, who ran for 4 touchdowns last week.